Hi everyone, I'm Luke Jones.
And I'm James Maiden.
And this is the weekly Roundup. Today in the show we've got soccer and volleyball updates.
And we'll check out what went down in South Dakota.
But first, we've got some cross country for you. And we had some pretty reasonable results from Kansas.
Yeah, our women actually got 14th and the men got 16th, and we had an amazing standout performance from Teresa Moser.
Teresa's one of my fellow internationals, James. She's from Austria, come all the way over here. She's a triathlete. She's done very well. She finished, 18th overall?
I believe 18th.
But that was off the back of an absolutely outstanding performance here at the Jean Torres golf course, where she actually won the women's 5K time trial. And I think it was a whole minute and a half ahead of her next opponent, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty fast. That's lightning fast, and I think that truly shows with all of her standout performances.
What do you think about recruiting internationals, James?
I think it's interesting the path that Highlands takes in getting athletes, not only from football. You know, we had our lovely Luke Jones from Australia, but having basketball athletes come and having soccer and even some of our basketball players, it's insane.
We do. We've had some basketball players from Australia as well. We've also got Patrick, who's 9 foot 13 or something. He's incredibly tall. If you haven't seen him around campus, you've been going around campus with your eyes closed. We've also got a very, very talented track team, and some of them from the Caribbean. So it's fantastic what they're doing, recruiting overseas. I wouldn't be here without it. But for the time being, let's move on to soccer. What did you think? What was the result?
I enjoyed getting to see the grit that the ladies put in to tie 1-1 against Colorado Mesa. It was actually a very fun game, and the ladies actually were electrifying and pulled out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they did well. We had some technical issues early on with the stream. We had some Wi-Fi issues in the box. So if you did tune into my Twitter account, you would have been able to see the first half via Twitter. I'm sorry about the camera angles and the fact that I was about 10 metres behind play. But we got through it. No goals were scored in the first half anyway. Goals were only scored in the second half. And we've got a couple of clips for you for both teams. Let's take a look at that now. So I'm happy to see that there wasn't a penalty called. And I also don't like to see games decided by penalties. Might as well flip a coin. Ball's played forward. It's going to be Newton now. She's got a run on. She's being chased down by Romero. Plays the ball nicely to Thompson. And it's going to be Parker with the shot. And she puts the ball away in the bottom left corner. Unlucky for Bruana Ruales. I always mess that name up. I do apologise. Did guess the right way, but just didn't quite get down to it. And I think that was the 61st minute. It took nearly over an hour for either team to break the deadlock. All right, now let's have a look at our goal. And my opinion, much more exciting goal. Came off the corner of Alondra Gildo Ceballos. And then she was able to knock the ball back into the box herself, but it did come off the bar, as you see the goalkeeper attempting to make the save. Just hammered home there by Janice Martinez. So it's flicked out wide there, put back in from a difficult angle off the bar, and boom goes the dynamite. What do you think?
I thought it was a great finish from Janice. Janice actually stayed with the ball. She didn't let it just get intercepted and kicked out by the defender. So it was a great hustle on her part.
Being in the right position at the right time, and that's what most of what scoring goals in soccer is about. I mean, look at someone who was as cheap as Frank Lampard. That guy never actually scored a genuine goal in his life, just knocked him in from 6 yards out. So right spot, right time, and I tell you what, amongst some of the other younger players, Martinez is one of the more exciting ones to watch. Yeah,
she just uses her body position and her quickness and agility to just put her teammates in a great position to finish.
Her, along with Nitza Rodriguez, I find very interesting to watch. Both of them are pretty speedy and really add an extra element. They don't play a lot because they're underclassmen and they're still maybe looking for a little bit more experience. But exciting stuff to come, and I really hope they can net a few more in the next couple of weeks. And they'll be kicking off next week, I think, at 4. So it should be interesting to see them. And then we had another game on Sunday.
Yeah, tell us about how that went. I know I missed it myself, but I heard it was
Yeah. So Sunday's result was 3-1, and we were on the wrong end of that 3-1. 3 of those goals were penalties. 1 for us, 2 for Western State, and it was freezing cold. We don't actually have any highlights of that one, mainly because of the reduced visibility. The pitch was covered in snow. It was bitterly cold, and there was a lot of play that you might have seen from the Brazilian Neymar, and not the good stuff either. There was a lot of jumping around, and I tell you what, if the pitch is that cold, I don't want to be rolling around on it. I don't know why these girls were going down better than a cold beer on a Friday night, but it was the first 20 minutes were pretty. Actually, you know what? Genuinely disappointing to see that sort of play, and that's why I think soccer gets such a bad reputation, is because it's just that sort of thing that makes people not want to show up and play. Going down at the slightest touch. Paid dividends for Western State, though, them winning 2 penalties, the second of which was a handball in the box. It was pretty obvious, and if you didn't call it, you'd be in a bit of trouble if you're a referee. It was accidental, and she hammered it home nicely. That was Wheellock that scored 2. And then she went off with an ankle injury, which looked pretty nasty. But we did manage to start to get back on terms when Gildo Ceballos knocked home a penalty of her own. And I tell you what, we mentioned Rodriguez and we mentioned Martinez, and they're exciting players to watch, there's no question. But the solid, consistent efforts of players like Ana Medina in midfield, who I would not want to mark up on because I think she would give me an absolute hiding. But Ceballos at the back. Now, she's out of position there, and she's about 5'1", standing on a box. So she's not overly big, and being a centre half and not being overly tall, you've got to be mighty skillful, and you need to read the game very, very well to be able to anticipate things. And it did do well for us on Friday night against Mesa. They did have those couple of quick plays. But I'm really excited to see her hopefully return to the midfield, because she's an electric player when she's in the midfield.
Yeah, everything seems to go well when the ball is around her and that keep her in a loop. But it's also interesting you say that she is being used as a utility player, and she can play in the front half and she can play in the back half. So hopefully we get to see her getting back in her natural flow and getting her right back in her position.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, on to football.
The football team went down to South Dakota and faced Black Hills and did not pull out with the win this week. So we talked to some of the athletes, and we generally thought that their confidence, faltered a little bit early on in the week, but we figured that our athletes would manage to pull together and have some type of camaraderie to be able to finish, but for whatever reason they weren't able to. So hopefully this week for homecoming they'll be able to come through fighting against South Dakota.
Well, what's interesting is we did go to South Dakota, and it was, I think it was below freezing, or at least it felt below freezing. Snow, wind, altitude, cold weather, incredibly long bus ride, 17-ish hours. And having made that bus trip, we both made that bus trip. Luckily, the last time we played there, it was sunny, so it wasn't quite so bad. But it is a very, very taxing trip, and let's hope South Dakota School of Mines suffer for it the way it, I think, gassed some of our players. It was a tough trip to make, and knowing that you're going to go there, be cold, and be miserable when you're not actually on the field, and probably not be able to feel your feet, I mean, it's pretty tough. But there was a little something out of it, and that's Jason Aguirre scored his 4th touchdown. I think that was his 3rd receiving touchdown. He's probably only caught 100 and something yards for the season, but managed to get 3 touchdowns. No one wants to pick him up. I don't know if he smells bad or he has bad breath or what it is, but no one wants to seem to pick him up in the end zone, and he's exposed him again, and I think that was our first score of the game. It was just a little 1-yard touch off the play action from Danny Cameron to Jason Aguirre in the end zone. So that was fantastic. Well done, Jason. We'll be looking to have him on the show down the line a little bit, perhaps after homecoming. But as you said, we play South Dakota School of Mines this week. And just a quick reminder, it is homecoming. So make sure on Friday you really get amongst the festivities, and make sure you get out there and vote. James Maiden, our very own James Maiden, will be running for Homecoming King. And I believe a fellow athlete is running for Homecoming Queen.
Yeah, so we definitely want to extend a big congratulations to Tiffany Matchett, who also is running for Homecoming on her 1,000th kill career kill. That's just outstanding. You want to tell us how that went?
Yeah, okay, so a couple of weeks ago at home, Tiffany was lucky enough to get 1,000 career kills, and it so happened that it was on her dad's birthday. I mean, to achieve something like that, awesome. So congratulations, Tiffany, well done. But that moves us on to volleyball. Not the greatest result for the Cowgirls this season, probably actually one of the uglier ones. 3-0 to, or 3-0 to Metro. They were swept. Metro having an incredible defense. But what was disappointing, I think, from the Cowgirls was the fact that the kills leader, who was Cam Nelson, the freshman, she's had a great year, but she only had 6 kills, which is, I think, well below her numbers for most matches. But for the kills leader to only have 6 it's a pretty rough night.
Yeah, that's got to be rough on both ends, honestly, from the defensive standpoint, that you got killed, in 3 sets, and on the offensive game plan that looked like our actual kills leader, Tiffany Matchett, wasn't in the game, so we had questions there, but... that was a curious one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was a tactical rest. That's like, okay, Metro's good. Maybe someone thought, probably not going to get over the top of Metro. Maybe we'll just give our seniors a rest. That being said, the other 2 seniors weren't rested. Good opportunity for the younger girls, and there are plenty of freshmen playing this year, and they're doing very well on the volleyball team. It'll be interesting to see how they progress through the spring and next season when they get a little bit more acclimated to college play. But it was interesting to see that rest. I'm not sure if it was an injury or not. I know Matchett's had knee injuries in the past. She wears that big ugly brace that makes her look like Forrest Gump when he's a kid. Yeah.
Mama said they'd take me anyway.
Anyway, she did return to action Saturday night. Now, what was the score Saturday?
So Saturday they lost in 5, and the last set being 14-16. It was a really close game, but it was good that you mentioned that about Tiffany being out. We literally had no clue what was going on. Definitely would have loved to see the young athletes step up and fill in a role and see if they could get things going, get their experience. But like you said, that definitely takes a toll on the youth to see their leading senior out, and we know she's a competitor, and it brings out the best in everyone she's around. So that was definitely obvious for the game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was. Look, we do have a couple of highlights from Saturday. The first one we have is from the very exciting Stacey Johnson. She's an exciting player. Aside from actually watching her get kills, I do love watching her block, because it's like watching Dikembe Mutombo just deny someone at the basket. She just reaches over. No.
Not in my house.
And says, no. And she blocks straight down. Love watching it. Now we do have another highlight. It's from Tiffany Matchett, who was the kills leader. She had 15 against Shadron. And I think Cindy Norris is coming up next. She had 14. Good to see both of the seniors getting some kills and getting some points. Now, let's have a look at it here. It's only a brief one. But man, does she kill that ball. She crushes it. Tell you what, I've made the joke before on air, and again, it's not like you can really get a concussion from these balls, but I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of someone jumping and hitting the ball that hard. I mean, it's not like it bounced off the floor and like, right. It's not that bad, but but can you imagine? And I've seen it happen as well. I think a couple of girls did it against Black Hills State. They just bopped them right in the head. There's nothing more embarrassing than just copping a ball to the face.
Yeah, I think it's more than just trying to be an athlete. I think, especially the way that she's hitting there, I don't think I would have moved out of the way.
Yeah, but you would have tried to catch the thing probably, James.
That's true.
Anyway, moving on. We've got Cindy Norris up next, the other senior from California. Now, she was doing this all night. She was just getting short of that back player, and they were reaching forward, but just out of reach, and she was hitting him mighty hard as well. I wouldn't, again, want to be on the end of that. I'm looking forward to watching her play more, and I'm also looking forward to watching some of the younger girls. Elena Rivera is pretty exciting. She's playing out of position at the moment. She's playing at libero, a position I'm not sure she's played before, but as far as pure athleticism, I saw her in the weight room earlier, and she's only about 5'6", 5'7", and she's jumping on some of the boxes that some of the male athletes can't jump on that are much taller than her. She's a pretty incredible athlete, so she's definitely one to watch. There's probably some track skills in there too. So, quick reminder: you've got your dates on your screen now. That's what the schedule's going to look like for homecoming. Remember, we do have a soccer game at 4:00, which I'll be calling. So if you can't join us, be sure to join us on the stream. You can join us via the NMHU Twitter, or you can go directly to the website, or my Twitter, or your Twitter. James and I will both be sharing that one. And then at 7:00 we have a volleyball game. And then exciting times on Saturday, you will be in the homecoming parade as a candidate for Homecoming King. So make sure you get your votes in on Friday. That's very important before you go to the soccer game. But what else is really exciting about Saturday, and I personally can't wait for, is we'll be tailgating. And not only is that going to be tremendous fun with cornhole and a little bit of beer pong, and we can actually play beer pong because in the parking lot outside the music room, excuse my ignorance of American terminology, it'll be licensed. And for those of us who are over 21, whether you're a student or a faculty member or a member of the public, you can join us for some tailgating. You can bring your own beers, as long as your drinks are poured into a cup and not on display. You're free to enjoy the merriment and have a couple of frothies, and it should be a lot of fun. Please tweet at us. You want to DM us with some questions, please go right ahead. You'll notice our Twitter handles at the bottom of the screen, probably right about now. Or you can send a message to NMHU Athletics Twitter, and our wonderful SID Clayton will look after you and handle the questions. He'll pass them on to us. Also, if there's an athlete that you'd like us to chat to, we'll be doing interviews later on. Hopefully next week we'll get started with that. If there's any questions you'd like to ask particular athletes, please let us know. And it's been absolutely fantastic to join you on this very first episode.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been great.
Well, from me, Luke Jones, and
James Maiden.
Thank you so much for joining us for the Highlands Roundup, and we'll see you again soon.